Mate, did we watch a thing this week?
Yeah, we did. Good day, and thank you for joining us here at We Watched a Thing. It's a pleasure to have you with us, and it's a pleasure to be with you, Billy.
Did you start by saying good day?
I did.
That's so old school.
You know, I mean, good day is actually that's how Australians traditionally say hello.
Well, no, we say g'day.
Well, yeah, then we shorten it because we're lazy.
Yeah. I've never heard anybody say good day.
I said good day,
In all my 30 years in Australia, I don't think I've ever heard that.
Come on, mate, it's close to 31.
Oh, you dickhead. No, I'm young. I'm young and fresh and vibrant.
Unlike me, my knee's killing me.
Well, you're 36 in like 2 weeks? 3 weeks?
It's not far, mate.
Yeah, no, you're ancient.
Yep.
How you been this week, buddy?
Oh, look, I've been all right. What about you?
I've been great. Recorded a guest spot last week with the good folks at IMDb Journey. It hasn't come out yet. It comes out next week, I believe. It's their 50th episode. So to celebrate, they had me, our good mate Sam from Movie Reviews in 20 Qs, and Paul from The Countdown. We all went on a giant pod v pod.
That sounds very fun.
It was good fun. You weren't invited.
Clearly.
Because you're the lesser of the show.
Or is it just that you're the one that looks at emails?
It could be that. Look, they might have said, you or Toph, and I might have just said, nah, look, you don't want Toph. But maybe it should have been you because, spoiler alert, I did not do well in the trivia.
You did a Billy?
As they say in the industry, I did do a Billy.
I'm pretty sure, and I stand to be corrected on this, but I'm pretty sure voting just closed for the Australian Podcast Awards.
It did. We got an email saying someone tried to vote for us and they couldn't find us there because, we didn't enter.
We didn't enter.
Yeah,
But we would have got a vote, you're saying?
Well, we would have got at least one. Yeah.
Cool.
All right.
Well, I already feel like a winner now.
Next year we'll enter.
Okay. I hear you watched Bohemian Rhapsody during the week.
Yes, I did. I've finished now. I watched all the Best Picture nominees.
Yeah, and was the Rhapsody everything you expected it to be?
Look, it's not a great movie. It's not a Best Picture worthy movie. That being said, it's not a bad movie.
No, I agree. I think
the worst thing about it is that it's been nominated for Best Picture when it's not worthy of that.
Yeah, I think the most horrifying thing about the whole thing is that a film about Freddie Mercury is so absolutely middle of the road.
Well, it
would actually be easier to deal with if it was aggressively bad.
Yeah, it's really strange because it's both way too long and also really rushed at the same time. It's like everything happens so quickly and is so condensed, and yet the movie's way too long.
I saw Brian May in the press was like out there trying to tell people like this really, this isn't Bryan Singer's film. And if I was Brian May, I'd be like, yeah, it's Singer's fault.
Well, Brian May's all right because it just makes him look like a bloody legend.
Oh, he's a saint. I don't think he's ever touched a drink in his life.
Yeah, if you believe the movie, then yeah, he's just a nice family man with long rocker hair. That's
God. Saw another movie though.
Yeah,
If Beale Street Could Talk.
That's fun, because I also saw that. Maybe we should talk about that this week.
Let's do that.
Let's do it. If Beale Street Could Talk is a 2018 American romantic drama film directed and written by Barry Jenkins and based on James Baldwin's novel of the same name. Stars KiKi Layne, Stephan James, Colman Domingo, Teyonah Parris, Michael Beach, Dave Franco, Diego Luna, Pedro Pascal, Ed Skrein, Brian Tyree Henry, and Regina King. And what's it about, Toph?
Well, If Beale Street Could Talk is either a social commentary wrapped up in a love story, or it's a love story wrapped up in a social commentary.
Yeah, I'd call it primarily a love story, I think. And let's get right into it. Thoughts?
I hated the mouth breather behind me who came in 5 minutes into the film and started opening up his food very loudly in what is oftentimes a very quiet film.
Yeah,
and stuff
very quiet,
munching away. And I was like, mate, I hate you.
Well, can we just make it clear, just in case people thought that story was going somewhere else? It wasn't me.
It did occur to me.
Halfway through that story, I'm
really?
Like, people are going to think he's talking about me. No, we did not see this movie together. That was not me. But the film itself, tell me about.
Okay, here's what I would say. Barry Jenkins might not be top of the heap of people who I will most look forward to their next film, but he's pretty close.
Yeah, so we recorded our last couple episodes out of order. A bit loosey-goosey. So last week on Trainspotting, You would have
Trainspotting.
Last week on
Prequel to Trainspotting.
Last week on Trainspotting, you would have heard me say that I have not watched Moonlight. About 2 weeks prior to that, you heard me talk about watching Moonlight. But yes, I have seen Moonlight, and I bloody loved it. You had it in your top 5 of that year, and I would agree. Had I seen it that year, it would be in my top 5 as well. I liked Beale Street even more. I loved this movie.
Another thing that did make me think of you while I was in the cinema is that the film, like, it just almost luxuriates in the way it moves at its own pace.
Yes.
Not unlike your good self. It's not rushed.
Yeah.
It's there and you can come to it and luxuriate in it as well.
That's the thing. For what at times can be quite dramatic, it's very much primarily a love story. It really focuses on the relationship between these two people. And I love the structure of the film, how it's not linear. It's told through flashbacks that aren't. They're not. It's not like when you see in movies someone kind of look up into the sky and you hear the tingle and you get a flashback. It's just shown out of sequence. But that's such a clever way of giving you this rounded view of this relationship because you see them at various points. And yeah, I loved it. And
a lot of the scenes to me felt very intimate and also very real.
Yes, very real. It's a very, very well written movie.
And the way that Jenkins and the DP have constructed the film we spoke about the inconsistent use of narrow focus with glass.
Yeah.
This film is shot largely at, I would think about, f-stop 1.8 or something. The amount of the focus is so tiny. And for image wankers, that looks great. But the other thing it does is that it draws you into the people and doesn't let you out.
Well,
like that's just their eyeballs are in focus on nothing else. And so everything you're watching is just centered on the people.
Yes, because it's very intimate. That's the kind of view you would get if you were sitting 20 centimeters from that person's face and looking into their eyes, which one of the things we spoke about with Glass is that there was no kind of thought behind why it was shot that way. It was just done. Whereas this, I feel, it was a very distinct choice and a very smart choice. And it is the biggest snub of the Oscars, I think, for me, that this isn't nominated for cinematography.
I can't even.
Because I think this is the best shot film of the year. I also watched Roma this week, which I loved, and I think that's going to win cinematography. I think this was even better.
And I mean, as you said, that's how it would be just sitting there looking at these people. With the two leads, you could just sit there looking at them. That is an attractive couple. My goodness.
Not only attractive, but such supreme actors. Stephan James was so wonderful in this movie.
They were fantastic. The cast is fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah, it is surprising to me that the one nominee we've gotten is Regina King, who is fantastic. But I would argue that there are better actors in this film, even, especially our two leads. I'm shocked that they're not up.
Yeah, I think the leads are brilliant. I do think that King is fantastic. The families of the two leads are great. We get Diego Luna, good old Rogue One, pops up briefly, which was nice. Brian Tyree Henry as that friend that spends
as Danny
that day with them. He was fantastic he was in Widows.
Yeah.
Oh, just brilliant. Like Jenkins, and you look at Moonlight as well. Jenkins, number one, nailed the casting. Yeah. But then his ability to produce performances from his cast would appear to be genuinely spectacular.
Yeah, I'm sure that these people are brilliant to begin with, but you have to put it down to the direction. When you have this level of consistency in the performances, that's got to be eked out of people, and he clearly knows how to do that.
How were you with this kind of switches and reminded me of, the same thing happens in Silence of the Lambs, where sometimes characters will deliver down the barrel and sometimes it's shot a bit more normally. If you like, did it throw you at all?
No, it didn't throw me at all because, as I said with the cinematography, I felt everything was a very deliberate choice. And most of the time, people are kind of delivering down the barrel. It's because they're talking directly to a person. And as I said, it's very intimate. That's the kind of viewpoint you would get were you sitting 20 centimeters from this face. And I thought it all flowed really nicely. I think a lot of that comes down to the editing as well. The shot motivation is very well thought out. There's no random cuts. And for a movie that is very non-linear, it all flows very nicely. Like I said, it's not like you've got the little that says, oh, hey, we're in the past now. But you are quite easily able to keep track of the timeline, I think. And I think that really comes down to how well the movie's put together.
Yeah, I totally agree. The down the barrel thing is the kind done badly, it could easily throw you.
Yeah.
But you're just so invested in these people that it works to then be sitting in their seat being talked at.
Yeah. So I saw this movie with my wife, and she also loved it, but not as much as I did. She wasn't happy with some of the kind of loose ends that are thrown up there, which to me I'm totally fine with. But she brought up, for example, his mother, who gets, very upset about the pregnancy. And then that plot line completely falls off after that scene and you never catch up with her again. You don't know if she ever met her grandchild. Were you okay with the lack of following those subplots through?
Yeah, I to be honest, I don't care.
Yeah, me neither. I think that it worked to show the drama for Tish in that moment, and I didn't really care about his mother from that point onwards.
Yeah,
the story wasn't about her as far as I was concerned.
Yeah, I think I feel the same way. If it was a more overarching story, then certainly that would be weird that just tails off into nothing. But we're so centered on Tish and Fonny that, okay, well, that episode with Tish is done, so I'm okay to do what the film does and just move on. That scene in the house where Tish tells everybody that she's expecting is like the agility of the filmmaking there in a really non-showy way is, I think, fantastic. Like, you think of Fonny's, the character of Fonny's dad, who he's the most genial character we've come across to this point in time. And then in a flash, and yet without seeming unnatural, the guy hits his wife. Yeah. And it's startling.
It is.
And yet it also feels believable.
It does, yes.
This is something it's a topic that you normally bring up, and during the film I was just sitting there going, this is phenomenal. The score in this film.
Yeah, I'm really glad that this got the nomination for score. And yes, this is my pick for winning score. This is so sublime. It just fits everything so... And the fact that you even noticed it, who, as you said, you don't normally pick up on score that much, but it is just so perfect.
This score, I mean, I noticed it because it's just too damn good not to.
Yeah.
But it doesn't stand out there by itself getting noticed. It just complements the story stunningly well. And it's really affecting.
Yes. Yeah. Done by Nicholas Britell, who of course also did Moonlight, but he's also worked on all of Adam McKay's films. So he also scored Vice this year. But he's just absolutely...
It's stunning.
Fantastic.
It really is one of my favorite scores in recent times.
Yeah, I mean, I do think we had a lot of great scores this year. I was also a huge fan of the score for First Man. That was another score that straight away I looked up to check it was on Spotify, and this score was exactly the same for me. This is a score that is so strong and emotive that you can listen to it and almost relive those beautiful moments from the film through the score, because it's just got such that essence.
You mentioned, and I mean, I couldn't agree with you more about how on earth this film is not nominated for cinematography. If you were the Academy, would Barry Jenkins be up for Best Director?
Yes. To me, this is the biggest snub of the year. I can't believe that it's not up for Best Picture, Best Director, Best Lead Actor, Best Lead Actress, Best Cinematography. There are so many categories that I feel like this film should be up for.
Like, honestly, someone would have a hard time convincing me that this film shouldn't be up for Best Picture. Someone would have a hard time convincing me that Jenkins shouldn't be up for Director. Yeah. And someone don't even bother trying to convince me that this shouldn't be up for cinematography.
I mean, this is easily better than 4 out of the 8 films that are up for Best Picture.
And
by some way.
Yeah, I'm not talking about I think it edges some of them. It's largely ahead of the pack.
As we said in the Oscars episode, the whole Oscars this year was a schmozzle. Like the whole thing with... the popular vote category, which was clearly just a way to try and get Black Panther in there because it is an important film this year. Beale Street was sitting right there, and it is a far better film. Let's talk about some of the other kind of side pieces in the film. Were you thrown by a random day Franco appeared?
I wasn't thrown because I think if I'd recognized him in the first 2 seconds on screen, maybe it would have.
Yeah, I did recognize him in the first moment he appeared, and I said to my wife, holy shit, that's Dave Franco. And she was like you. She didn't notice him at first. But yeah, because I did, it really threw me. But so that didn't bother you?
No, it didn't. I thought, well, firstly, I thought he was good.
Yeah.
If he had been stinking it up, then it would have been like, why is Dave Franco here? But I liked his character. I thought the character worked well.
Yeah, same.
I really liked the way that he's kind of our break from the misery that's heaped on these people through, as Tish puts it, the game is rigged.
Yes.
And I think the film handles that theme or that idea really well. For me, the film is not about blame at all. Like, no one is looked at and said, you're a bad person, this is your fault. Again, as Tish puts it, the game is rigged.
Yes.
This is a societal problem, not like your fault. Although, like, yeah, sure, you're a member of society and we can be better, but it's the film is far more interested in addressing problems.
Definitely. Yep. While we're on that subject, let's talk the ending. That was one of the best endings in cinema history, I think. When we spoke about The Godfather, we spoke about the ending of that film and what a gut punch it was, and this felt exactly the same to me. It was just the perfect note to end on, I think. Were you expecting that he would get out? Like, were you hoping for a happy ending as such?
Oh, I was like, I mean, human nature makes you hope for it, but yeah. I was never expecting it because I thought, I just didn't think Barry Jenkins was going to be okay with giving us the cotton candy version.
He's such a masterful filmmaker, though, because the same thing happens in Moonlight, where the ending feels happy. Like, the ending of Beale Street, I wouldn't say that this ends on a dour note. The movie ends, and in some strange way, you're almost uplifted. Like, more than a drama, more than, like, yes, it has a lot of messages in there about, the way society is and stuff, but more than that, it's a love story. This is really the story of these two people and their love. Like, I would compare this film to, say, Before Sunrise or Eternal Sunshine of a Spotless Mind. This is really a dissection of a relationship to me. And yeah, the ending somehow has this way of making you feel almost happy, even though, let's face it, he's probably in there for life. Like, he probably pled guilty to get out of a death sentence and get put down to life.
I don't think he'd be in there for life.
You reckon?
I wouldn't have thought so. I mean, he's not in there for murder, so I doubt.
I think that's the point of the game is rigged.
Yeah, and the film just does this so well, where not only is Fonny getting screwed over by the system, but then the dominoes fall and both of she's in a terrible situation.
Yeah.
Their fathers turned to crime because the justice system failed their son.
Yep. And it's a vicious cycle. You get failed by the justice system and you turn to that life, which puts you back into that system. Now
this kid has grandfathers who now are criminals, and a father who's in prison, and you can there's a ... as to what this kid's life will be, through no fault of anyone he's related to.
The other thing I loved about the film is the way it evokes the time period without specific. I don't remember it ever saying early 70s.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah.
It just because it gives you enough and just leaves it up to you.
Yes. Yeah. Like, you could almost imagine in your head that this is today, present day.
And I think it's deliberate and brilliant because, of course, some of the things the film is talking about are, of course, pressing
they're still
modern
relevant
issues.
Yeah.
So the fact that it doesn't completely remove you from modern life is a great choice.
Yeah, like, obviously you don't see cell phones, for example, but you also don't see a lot of orange and brown.
Shrimp cocktails everywhere.
You don't see a lot of, like, bathrooms with lime green tilings on the wall. Like,
fondue parties. That turn into key parties.
Yeah, like, it doesn't ram the 70s in your face, and it doesn't, like, it just lingers, and, there's enough there that you can figure it out. But yeah, it's definitely open to your own brain, which, again, I love.
Way to be good at your job, Barry Jenkins.
Yeah. I mean, I'm out of things to say. Do you have anything further?
I think I'm done.
What are you scoring it?
I'm a hard 8.
I'm a hard 9. There is so little to fault this film on. I just think it flows perfectly. Even if you have 10 minutes of just them talking.
And the film, like, it lives in its silences so brilliantly.
Yeah. It's a very quiet film. But yeah, I think there are so many wonderful elements of this film. And for me, I think it's now probably taken my top spot of the year, I think. Certainly for 2019 so far from what we've seen.
Okay.
But probably for 2018 films as well.
Yeah, geez. If you want to go watch some good filmmaking, then catch up on this film, which finally made it to this side of the Pacific.
Yeah. All right. What are we getting to next week, buddy?
We're going to catch up on another film from a little while back, The Sisters Brothers.
Yeah, is that the third film from last year where John C. Reilly was basically in an old-timey duo?
Yeah. I'm excited for this because I am such a John C. Reilly fan. Like, I'm a massive fan of serious John C. Reilly.
Yeah.
And I couldn't give a fuck about comedy Reilly. So, Boogie Nights and stuff like that, Riley, I love so much.
Yeah.
So, Joaquin Phoenix is Joaquin Phoenix.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, we're finally getting some of these late releases from last year coming over this side of the world. So...
we need something to just occupy us until Big Shark.
I can't wait for Big Shark. I cannot wait. I'm praying for a theatrical release.
Oh,
do you think there's any chances?
If we have to drive interstate, I'll do it.
Oh, absolutely. If there's only one showing in Australia and it's like the other side of if it's in Perth, we're going. Alrighty. Well, in the meantime, if you want to get in touch with us, you can do that at wewatchedathing.com or wewatchedathing@gmail.com. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, all under the handle at wewatchedathing. If you want to help support the show, you can do that at patreon.com/wewatchedathing, and we'll catch you next week.
Go watch a movie, everyone.
I think that's our dirty bird, mate.
Hello.
That might be our fried chicken.
Food's here. Stop recording.